Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Hangout on Air on an introduction to Firebase Analytics. My name is Ruby. I am an app promotion specialist.
Hi everyone, I'm Vaibhav. I lead app measurement at Google, and I'll be talking to you about Firebase Analytics. So let me jump right away into it. Firebase Analytics is our app-first analytics solution that we announced and launched at I/O a couple of weeks back. We have got tremendous response from the community, and they have found great users of it already. And I'm pretty excited about talking about Firebase Analytics with all of you. Uh, so today we'll focus on how Firebase Analytics can really help you acquire and find the right users for your app, as well as how it can enable you to engage with your most valuable users, as well as kind of get your users that have lapsed and are not had installed your app and not using it currently. How can you get them back, start using your apps? So why are we here today, right? We know that the number of users, like millions and billions of users, are now using mobile phones today, and millions of apps are being built and used by our users. Users spending a lot of time on their apps, and it's important for us as app developers and marketers to find the right set of users for our apps. And this is where there are different tools available in the market, but that not necessarily all of them kind of address all our needs. And when you look from a user standpoint, there are users who are kind of are accessing the phone more than 150 times a day. They are trying to find the fastest route for their home. They are trying to kind of understand which is the nearest coffee shop that they can get access to, the latest offers for the brands that they're interested in. And all these are the moments when we can reach out to our users and position our app and kind of get them engaged with our apps. Uh, and there are a lot of challenges when you try to grow your apps, right? So finding the right set of users is definitely a key challenge. With these millions of users out there using the phones and the millions of apps available in app stores today, it's difficult to understand who are the right users for me. And that's where one of the challenges that marketers face on an ongoing basis. Mobile technology, while it facilitates it ease to kind of get access to the users, it also has an inherent challenge in itself. Where do you advertise? Whether you advertise in app, how do you reach users who are on the web and get them to use your app? Use there are different advertising identifiers out there. Of course, there are a bunch of app stores. So kind of how do you balance between all these different technologies is the challenge that we continuously face. And of course, one of the bane of technology is multiple tools, right? So we know that there are great point solutions out there. There are advertisers who are using multiple analytic solutions. So there are cases where advertisers use up to 4 or 5 analytic solutions. Someone uses ad analytic solution for the push notification, using analytic solution for crash analytics, in-app attribution, in-app analytics, cross-network attribution. So the list is kind of endless, right? While some of these solutions are really great, they address a lot of the needs that they are built for. The real challenge is how do these different analytics solutions talk to each other? How can you get great insights from one solution and kind of tie it back together with another, which is where you can get more efficiency and insights, which kind of helps you target and reach out to your users. And this is where Firebase comes in, right? So this is our cross-platform solution, which helps you develop great apps, grow your user base, engage with them, and then also go on to kind of earn from your apps. So what does Firebase constitute of? Like I said, we have three broad categories of three broad pillars: develop, grow, and earn. Within the develop pillar, we have a bunch of great products that developers would love. So we have real-time database, authentication, cloud messaging, which is enabling sending billions of messages on a daily basis. Storage, if you are a social app and there is a lot of images and files that could get stored, then you can use Firebase storage to host these files and images. Hosting is available. Remote config. This is one of the great products that Firebase offers. It enables you to do A/B testing. So if you're not really sure what kind of interaction will work for your users, you can do A/B testing without really pushing your app through the app store, right? So you can kind of test different versions of the landing page, one of the use cases that we have, and see how the users are reacting to the landing pages, what kind of conversions you are getting, and then eventually decide that this is the right landing page for me, and then push that particular landing page for your app. The other way that advertisers are finding it useful is to kind of providing unique experience to different set of users. So if you have, for example, let's take an example of a e-commerce app. There are different set of users who are interacting and buying at a different scale with the app that you have. So there might be a set of users who are really into electronics, and they are on an average they spend $100 each time they use the app. Right? For these set of users, you want to have probably want to have a different set of experience, and that is what remote config enables. You can identify the right set of users with Firebase Analytics, and then push a certain different experience to these set of users using remote config without really updating your app via the App Store. So, and this can be done on the kind of right on the fly, and saves a lot of time of not submitting it via the App Store and really benefiting it of using off cloud. Our test lab, this is the feature which is only available for Android as of now. What it does is enables you to kind of push your app via cloud to a bunch of Android devices that we have, and then test how your app is performing across these devices and modify as needed. Crash reporting is another great solution that Firebase offers. It is out of the box. So as you implement the SDK, you can start getting reports on any crashes that your users are seeing, and then kind of work towards fixing it as soon as possible. Grow is the piece which we'll kind of dive deeper into the session as we go, and Ruby will walk us through it. And AdMob is our publishing platform where it kind of helps you enable activate ads in your apps, and this is a way in which you can kind of start earning apart from if you have other capabilities within your app to kind of earn money out of it. AdMob kind of enables you to earn money from an ad standpoint. So how do you start on Firebase? It's like we have tried to make it as simple as possible. Once you kind of set up your project, and you'll get an SDK which you apply on your app, and with a single line of code on iOS and a slight change with your build file on Android, you get right started. You activate the SDK, and you're on. And the beauty of this product is whether you choose one of the component of Firebase or all, this is the simple step to activate, and Firebase Analytics comes along with it. So the moment you implement the SDK, you start seeing awesome data in-app behavior that the users are doing on your app. And this is where we come to Firebase Analytics, which is the backbone of Firebase and brings all these elements together. So what does Firebase offer, right? So Firebase is free and unlimited. It is free and it is unlimited. We know that the kind of events, hundreds of events that you want to track, and these events generate millions and billions of hits. You don't have to worry about the hit limits because it is unlimited and it is absolutely free. Firebase Analytics also enables sort of automatic event reporting. So the moment you have Firebase Analytics activated, you start getting first open data, as well as in-app purchase, as well as e-commerce purchase data automatically. It also gives you great user insights, how much time the users are spending on your app, what is the daily engagement rate, what is the average revenue per user, lifetime value. So a lot of great events get reported automatically without you having to do a single line of code. And of course, the beauty of Firebase Analytics is it's a backbone for Firebase, so it ties together a lot of components of Firebase. It's seamlessly integrated with a lot of Google offerings, AdWords, AdMob, and so on, which kind of helps you use the power of your data and insights and push it to the right feature set that you have in mind. For example, if you have the right audience data available, where if they are high value purchases and you really want to give them an incentive to go and do particular transaction, you can take this particular audience data and push a specific notification only through these set of users. So that's where the power of analytics really comes together. And of course, we have built this across platforms, so you can build apps and acquire users both across Android and iOS. And that's kind of ensures that you don't have to kind of again figure out different solutions for your different platforms. Like I said, Firebase Analytics kind of brings together the three pillars, and it becomes your single source of truth. So whether it's your conversion data, whether it's what's happening within your app, whether it is which set of users have seen a crash happening with their app, where you want to send push notification, all these great features come together, and Firebase Analytics ties it together for us. With that, I'll hand it over to Ruby, and she'll deep dive into Firebase Analytics.
Awesome. So just a quick reminder, we do have a live Q&A. You can feel free to ask your questions either on the Hangout or on the events page. But what I want to do is actually want to walk you through an example. And this example is a gaming example, but Firebase and Firebase Analytics is compatible with apps of all verticals. So whether that's retail, local, health and fitness, basically anything that is an app, we are able to give you recommendations as to what it is that you should be tracking and how to interpret that data. So what the app that we're going to walk you through is the example of Transworld Endless Skater. And so this app is a skating app. And as you can see here, the goal of the game here is to get through different levels, perform different tricks, unlock new levels, buy different gear, all this good stuff. And what they've discovered is with the small audience that they have today, the economy that they've built in the game actually works really, really well. And they're actually making money. And so what they've done is actually hired this guy, Mike, to help them grow their user base so they can obviously grow their revenue. And so Mike has come in and has set a goal to drive more installs of this app. And this he set a goal to drive 300,000 more installs of the app. And what he's going to do, and what he actually does, is he gets right into Firebase Analytics. So as discussed earlier, the second that you implement the SDK, we start collecting a lot of data. And maybe the developer of this app has already chosen to implement the SDK to take advantage of maybe a developed feature like remote config, but automatically we start capturing some events. And as you can see here in Firebase Analytics, Mike has come right in, and he can see that we're already collecting monthly active users, the average revenue per user, average revenue per paying user, all of these app-first metrics that are really going to make a difference in understanding how the app is performing. And so, quick note, Firebase automatically collects a lot of events. You can actually find all of these in our support, the help center today. But Firebase automatically collects events like first open, in-app purchase, user engagement, session start, other events like when somebody removes the app, to basically help you better understand install and uninstall rates. And so what Mike has done here is has looked at the events tab over here. And this events tab basically gives you an understanding of all of the different types of events that you're tracking that are meaningful and are going to help you make good marketing decisions. And so additionally, aside from the events that are automatically collected, he's also decided to set up additional events like the unlocking of an achievement or the spend of an actual virtual currency, which is how they make money, right? You buy the virtual currency and you spend it, and that's how the economy in the game actually works. What he's also done is he's noted that attribution is going to be extremely, extremely important. And attribution is going to basically help you understand what sources of user acquisition are contributing the most to growing the user base here. And so by combining the events page and the attribution page, Mike basically decides to invest in paid user acquisition. So he knows that getting to that 300,000 number is going to take a lot of work. And he's going to have to tap into sources like paid user marketing to get to that level. But he doesn't have a lot of budget, so he has to do this wisely. And luckily, Firebase Analytics can help him do this. And when we were building Firebase Analytics, we knew that the integration with AdWords had to be seamless. And so our teams have built Firebase Analytics to seamlessly integrate into AdWords. Doesn't require things like a conversion ID or a conversion label. It's very simple. You simply link the two accounts, and you can start importing any events that you're tracking in Firebase today. And very, very, very easily can you then hook up universal app campaigns with Firebase Analytics. And just as a reminder, what universal app campaigns are is a single campaign type that can run app install ads across all of our inventory. This is only available for Android today, but one of our bigger announcements at I/O as well is that it will be coming for iOS soon. And so in combination with Firebase Analytics, what Mike can do is actually import events like a first open and set the optimization of universal app campaigns to optimize against that first open. And in the future, what we'll be able to do with universal app campaigns is actually bring in events like an in-app purchase or the spend of virtual currency, and then basically educate the algorithms behind universal app campaigns to be able to acquire more valuable users. And so what he's done is actually set up a universal app campaign, and he's going to start off by targeting Australia. And one of the reasons that he's targeting Australia, we'll talk about it a little bit more, is because skating apps are really, really popular in Australia, and he has a hypothesis that going there is going to be the first key step in getting to that 300,000 number. But he knows that Google will bring him in a certain set of users. He's also decided to do paid user marketing with another network. And in this network also happens to be set up in Firebase. So Firebase Analytics can do attribution not just for AdWords, but about 20 other networks as well. And the setup works it's a very simple setup. You essentially just would go into that attribution section and then configure your postbacks to be to sync with that network. And then you can decide down here which events you're going to decide to pass to that network that you're advertising for. And hopefully there you can also optimize against those events. And so just to reiterate, Firebase Analytics does not just sync with AdWords from an attribution standpoint. It's about 20 other networks. You can find more information in our support center. So like I said, he's targeting Australia. He has decided to target Australia because of the popularity of skating apps. And he said, okay, well, we're going to go there first. And actually what I'm going to do with Australia is I'm going to create an audience of Australia so I can actually track week on week or month on month how we're doing against acquiring users in Australia. And you can create audiences for anything, right? You can create audiences of people who have made purchases in the last 7 days, the last 14 days, people who maybe were valuable a month ago but aren't necessarily valuable today because maybe they've lapsed or they've left the app. And so all of these audiences, you can create different flavors of whatever it is that is valuable to your app. And you can basically track the progress of this event as the life cycle of your app progresses. And so what you can do once you basically get yourself set up is you can actually see the impact, right? So aside from setting this really aggressive 300,000 user goal, Mike has also set an average revenue per user goal. He said that, well, today I came in, we are getting about $1.50 for each user. We actually want to increase that to $3. And so that maybe doesn't happen just overnight, right? You can't just say $1.50 and we're going to go to $3. So what he's also decided to do is that he wants to increase the user engagement in the app. So what he's done is also set up goals for user engagement. Maybe instead of 15 minutes in the app in a 30-day period, he wants to increase that average to 20 minutes in the app in that 30-day period. And so what basically he's doing is building these steps that is going to allow them to get to that $3 mark, but isn't necessarily just saying, hey, revenue, revenue, revenue. We need the pillars to be there in order to get to that $3 mark. And so when you set yourself up for that, one of the things that you can do is actually look at the funnels report in Firebase Analytics. And he understands that right now there's a really, really small user base. It's only 10,000 users. And obviously he needs to grow that pretty substantially. But the biggest challenge is only a tiny fraction of these 10,000 users, 61 out of the almost 11,000 users are paying. That's less than 1% of users are paying users. And so he knows he's getting all of these installs, but only a small fraction are paying. So he wants to get to the kind of source of why we see very limited payers. And so what he's seen in his report here, and basically looking at the first open event, seeing where those first opens are coming from, or where those installs are coming from, is he's identified that Stop Network is actually producing a very little amount of purchase conversions, but a lot of installs. So what he might decide is, well, this is actually a little bit too expensive of a network, and I'm actually going to reallocate my budget. And so those are the types of insights that you can get from Firebase Analytics, right? You're running with AdWords, you're running with this network and the other network, and what you're able to do is, depending on which events that you're tracking, again, we automatically track a couple of core set of events, but really the value piece is what's important. And so it helps you kind of chop off, okay, well, this isn't working, we're going to put more money here. And so that's something that you can get from that funnel reporting and from that event reporting. And so again, he's seeing that there's growth with the Australian users, that the number of users is growing, and so he decides to go back in there, and he's ready to optimize for the metrics that he cares about. So maybe he's run this campaign for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and he finally has some data to basically understand, okay, well, where do we have to maximize our investment to continue this positive growth? And so one of the things that he notices is actually extremely surprising, is that a lot of his core really valuable users that are actually purchasers, so notice here that he's filtering his data by purchasers, are coming from Japan. And that's something that was extremely unexpected, because when they originally launched this app, they were only going after English-speaking countries, because that was the language that their app was available in. It was only in English. So seeing that there's a lot of users here from Japan actually might start the conversation to localize this app to maybe Japanese, right? And so, but they wouldn't have learned this otherwise. It maybe weren't really even paying attention to Japan. But what this reporting help them do is find those kind of little niche areas of success, and then new possibilities to help get that 300,000 user goal in a very valuable way. Alrighty, so we'll end Mike's story, but essentially, we hope that he got over his 300,000 users goal, and that $3 mark was exceeded. I think the conclusion of this section is that you can get really, really, really hands-on with this data, and being really hands-on with this data gets you to a point where you can get very specific with your marketing to a degree that reduces that margin of error that sometimes comes with advertising, and hopefully increases the value and your return of investment of whatever it is that you're doing for paid user acquisition. So again, reminder, we have a live Q&A. You can ask the questions in the Hangout on air or in the events page.
Thanks, Ruby. And like Ruby kind of walked through how Mike was able to grow the user base and kind of increase the average revenue per user via paid channel. What Firebase does is also takes like a couple of steps forward and enables you to do the exact same thing by organic as well. So you can choose a combination of organic and ads to really drive your user base as well as engage with them. One of the products that is part of Firebase is Firebase Notifications. Similar to Firebase Analytics, this is also free and unlimited. So you can kind of send across as many notifications as you want. But we also know that sending too many notifications can be not a great user experience. So we have reporting which enables you to understand how many messages did you send to a user, how many were opened, and what was the specific action that you wanted the user to take, how many of those users took that action. And like Ruby also mentioned briefly about app uninstall or app removal. So for example, if there's a scenario where you are trying to test a particular notification, if it works for your set of users or not, and you want to kind of, before sending it to the wider set of users, you want to first test it out. So then you create a small set of audience using the audience capability, building capability in Firebase Analytics, send a notification to these set of users, and you can track, one of the conversions that you can track is app removal. So how many users, if you send it to say 1,000 users, and 200 of them opened, did any of those uninstall, right? So if that happened, then it kind of gives you a sense of that message is not resonating that well with this set of users, and you have to think differently. Alternatively, you could also have a promotional message where a user is stuck, a set of users are stuck at level 3 in this particular game, and you want to really give them additional incentive to move to the next level, and you kind of provide that through push notification. So the use cases are multiple and endless, and it's up to kind of depending on the need that you have, you can use push notification to send it.
And as a quick note, if you're using Firebase notifications, we'll automatically capture those events. So you send notifications, we can look at the open, if people dismissed it. And so these actions, again, automatically tracked if you're using Firebase notifications.
Right. And you can also set, you can either enable the notification to be sent right away, or you can also ensure that if you want to time it for a different, you want to send it at a different time or day, that you can also customize it accordingly. The another great feature that we have is App Invite, and this is where this is kind of a digital form of word of mouth. So if you what it enables you to do is for your set of users who want to share your app via organic channels like email or SMS, Firebase App Invite enables you to do that. So you can target your set of users again. If you have, for example, users who are really high value and doing a lot of in-app purchases, which means that they are most likely to promote your app. So you can enable app invites for them, and they can then eventually share your app to their contacts. And what Google does is kind of enables it with Google Intelligence. So it kind of understands which are the right set of contacts that the user is likely to send, and it kind of automatically surfaces it when at the right point, and the user can then send it to share it with their contacts. And like I said, we had got tremendous response from with our launch, and one of our close partners, Spark People, they mentioned that the ability to kind of have AdWords data in Firebase Analytics has simplified their daily management and optimization, and reduced the time that they spend from hours to minutes. So it's really making it very, very efficient, and also helping them acquire high value users. Similarly, one of our advertisers in Japan, Recruit, benefited a lot out of this integration of Firebase and Google AdWords. They were able to simply set up the universal app campaign that Ruby talked about, and it was quite seamless for them. They started to push conversion data into Google AdWords, and it started optimizing to help them acquire right set of users. And they mentioned that Google AdWords and Firebase Analytics just works best together. So Firebase Analytics, like we said, is a growth engine for your app. It combines two great capabilities of understanding in-app user behavior with cross-network attribution, and with combination of this, you can get great insights of acquiring new users as well as engaging with them. We are super excited about the possibilities of Firebase Analytics, and can't wait to see how you use it. These are a bunch of resources that are available. All the documentation available in firebase.google.com/doc/analytics. You can read about a lot of other Firebase elements at firebase.google.com. We'll also encourage you to have a look at the videos that we have floated on youtube.com/Firebase. As great introduction videos about different features within Firebase, as well as detailed deep dive videos that the product managers are talking about, that kind of when we did the IO launch a couple of weeks back. So you can get a lot of your questions answered via these videos as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll be taking questions now. Again, you can ask those questions in the Hangout on Air or on the events page. But quickly, I guess I'll cover one of them. We get this a lot, this question a lot. So what are our different options for tracking with AdWords? And so we'll have Google Play codeless tracking. This is basically an automatic thing that we do that only Google does, because we have awesome Google Play data. Essentially, anytime you start a campaign or an account with Google, a codeless conversion automatically is created. And this tracks people clicking that install button from Google Play. And so essentially what you'll be able to do is go beyond the codeless tracking and implement tracking that will give you first open data for both Android and iOS. You'll have two options in how to do that. You could do that either with the Firebase Analytics SDK. Again, that's more of a conversation that you'll have to have with your developer. What features are going to be worth it for the developer to install this SDK? We personally feel that Firebase Analytics alone is a pretty incredible tool, but it's a conversation that you should have with your developer. And then the second option on doing both Android and iOS first open, install, and beyond tracking is third-party tracking with any one, such as Attune, Kochava, Adjust, AppsFlyer, etc. And so here again, they do iOS and Android installs plus lifetime value reporting. And again, you can still sync those events over to AdWords, and we're going to be able to run campaigns and optimize against those events, regardless of who you are tracking with. And so those are the kind of most popular question that we get. And the second one, I would say, yes, Firebase Analytics, it was covered earlier, is available for iOS and Android.
Yeah. And one of the other questions that we get is on event tracking, and like how do we what kind of reporting we get. Just to mention that, like I mentioned earlier, it's unlimited reporting on events. You can log up to 500 events in Firebase Analytics, and some of those events you can mark as conversions. So conversion, what it does is it kind of enables you to understand cross-network attribution, like we had covered that. But so you can move your most important conversions, events you mark it as log it as conversion. You start getting great cross-network reporting. And for example, again, like app removal, if you want to understand which networks are really getting new users in, but also which networks are contributing to a higher number of uninstalls, so that is something that you can track as well. 500 events, up to 10 of them you can mark as conversions, and you get great rich reporting automatically with on those conversions. And another question that we get often asked is on how to, if you want to do more deeper analysis on it. So that capability is also available. So Firebase is integrated with BigQuery, and you have access to all the raw data. So you can export all the raw data from Firebase Analytics into BigQuery, and you can do more ad hoc analysis, more deeper analysis, as well as tied to your internal BI systems that you might have. So this is, again, and all of this, like I said, the reporting, it's unlimited in Firebase. And Firebase Analytics is free. So go ahead, try to use it, and we are super excited about the possibilities that Firebase Analytics offers.
Awesome. Well, if you all have any more questions, feel free to go to our help center, post them on Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is that is your choice of engagement. And thank you so much for your time today, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.